Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaopen.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self-improvement. I'm so delighted you're here with me today. Today, I channeled some messages from the universe, and I am going to relay those messages to you. And then I've pulled some cards to give you a little mini reading for the week just to help give you some guidance. And what came through were two things coming out this week. What I heard first was that it is so important, like the most important thing that you can learn in this lifetime is to shed the weight of other people's expectations. So some of you out there listening are not being true to who you really are. And you're trying to live up to this persona that you've learned to be your whole lives, right? We grow up and we have all of these conditions placed on us. And the universe says you're trying to live up to something you're not. And that can feel super uncomfortable. When we're not being our true, authentic selves, it can feel very painful. It can feel like a lonely, dark place. So, part of the message for you this week from the universe is that you need to learn how to shed the weight of others' expectations. And the second part of the message was you need to speak into existence the life that you've always dreamed of. We have a tendency, and I am just as guilty of it as anybody else. We have a tendency to be so negative. Remember that our brains are wired to be negative. And it really does take retraining our thoughts. And not only our thoughts, but our words. And then once we can start learning how to retrain our thoughts and our words, we can turn that into action in our lives. And what we'll find is that those thoughts and those words pick up momentum and they start to shift who we really are. You're going to see so many people out there who are manifestation coaches, and they're going to tell you all these things about manifestation. And I'm sure you've heard it a million times over. But what I heard today was it starts small. It starts with the little habits and the little things that we do, and it adds up to big, huge steps. And I think personally, I am living proof of this because I grew up with a mom who was very negative. And I don't say that to disparage her in any way because she was absolutely a wonderful mom and did what she needed to do to keep us all safe and provide. The negativity came as a result of her environment and things that happened to her, right? It was like, oh, all these things happen. And then it was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it was trying to protect us by, teaching us, don't get your hopes up. And I have also inadvertently taught my children those things too, thinking that I'm protecting them, I'm keeping them safe. And it's the older I get, the more I do this work, the more messages that I receive, I realize that what we're doing instead of keeping ourselves safe is limiting ourselves from what the universe really wants us to have. The universe is limitless. And yet we place all of these limits on ourselves. The first way we do that is by not being who we truly are. We feel like, oh, I have to show up as this person or that person. If I don't show up as that person, then people are going to judge me. So I have to morph. And most of us have really been good at learning how to wear masks in different places and different scenarios, right? We learn how to fit in. We learn how to be that, what's the word? The lizard, the chameleon, right? Okay, I have to show up with my work people. I have to be this person today. I'm with my family. I have to show up as that person tomorrow. I'm going to be with my friends. I need to show up as this person. We've learned kind of how to shapeshift and to be who we think we need to be to fit in that particular group. Like we kind of put ourselves in these boxes. and we like to label ourselves. And the problem is when we do that, yeah, we fit in with everybody else, but we're not being ourselves. We're not fitting in with ourselves. We're not being who we were truly meant to be. And we limit ourselves when we don't fully step into who we are. And I know it's scary because you have to be vulnerable, right? You have to be who you truly want to show up as. And most of us, our whole lives, had this little inner voice that said, don't show anybody how weird you are, right? Like that little quirk makes you really weird to other people. But honestly, it's those quirks that make you stand out in a good way. Because how boring would life be if we didn't have people who had their quirks, right? We would never have artists who express themselves. We would never have singers who came out and wrote music and beautiful songs. That would never happen if we didn't show others who we truly are. And it is very vulnerable. When I wrote my book, my very first book, I knew that that was going to be putting myself out there, and not everybody reacted in a good way, right? Some people were like, "What do you write that for?" But I knew that I had to tell my story, and I had to tell it in a way that was authentic to me. It wasn't about telling on anyone else or beating anyone else up. It wasn't about making my ex look bad. It wasn't about any of that. It was about telling my story in a way that stayed authentic to the experience that I had. Because I felt like if I told my story, maybe other people out there would say, hey, you know what? That sounds like my story. And if she could get through it and if she can make it to the other side, maybe I can too. It was about being vulnerable because I wanted that vulnerability to help others see that, hey, I'm not the only person who goes through these things. And there's someone here who's been through it. They healed, they got to the other side. And even though they're still healing, still working on it, it's going to be okay. And that is why I told my story. But if I was afraid to be who I truly was, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. Because I wouldn't have been courageous enough to even do that. When I first started, you can ask my very first listeners, I had Maria and Ginger and, you know, other listeners like that who started with me from the very beginning. And there are several of you out there. And forgive me if I don't name everyone. I had Amina, just different people out there who were some of my first listeners. When I had 10 followers, you were part of the 10. And I just started recording by grabbing my phone and just talking and saying what I thought I wanted to say, thinking that no one would listen, no one would care. And 10 people did. And they were not people that I knew. So that was incredible, right? That, 10 people cared about what I thought or how I felt or my experience, and they learned from it. So I just kept doing that and kept showing up. And the consistency, the showing up and being who you are, it pays off. It really does. And there's so many things like getting to write a second book and getting to be a part of New Reality TV, where I'm joined by a lot of other really fantastic podcasters and television personalities who bring their stories and bring their light to the world. And that's what it's been all about. I wouldn't have ever done that had I not been open to it and be able to tell my story. So the message today that I received is that some of you need to tell your story. Some of you need to stop being afraid to be who you truly are. And you need to start speaking those words into existence. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? What do you want your life to look like? It's time to start crafting that now, because that is exactly what you're doing. You are working with the universe to create your reality. Life doesn't just happen to you. And I know a lot of people think it does. And I was one of those people. I was like, well, what can I do? Life just happens to you. It doesn't. Yes, things happen to you that are beyond your control, but it's not just happening. It's there to teach you a lesson. There are lessons in everything that we go through. And we have the ability to shape what happens to us from those, right? Ah, I don't know how to say it other than there isn't really a reason that myself or my children should still be here telling people what has happened to us in our lives. Because most people who have to experience the kind of trauma that you do either spiral into some sort of addiction and problems with addiction or don't make it. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I am saying that to pat my children on the back. I think they've been amazing. But the point of that is you're here and I'm still here because there's a purpose for this. It's just not just happening for no reason. And my ability to take what happened and to learn from it and to heal from it and to grow is what's kept me going. And you have that same ability. You were born with so much strength, whether you realize you have it or not. And this is the universe telling you, okay, when bad things happen to you, which inevitably things do happen, let's just say things that are beyond your control, and let's not label them good or bad. The things that happen that are beyond your control, maybe you couldn't control the thing that happened. What you can't control is your reaction to it, what you do with it, the outcome. That is what we can control. And there have been so many times in life where before I started doing this work, I would have said, oh, what now? How am I going to figure this out? And now I say, okay, this is figure outable. What's the next best step? And I tend to go within when things like that happen and I seek guidance, but I also reassure myself that all is well. Because no matter what is happening, everything will be okay in the end. I know that. And I just have to connect with that inner strength that I have. And I know that you all have that as well. So the universe wants you to take control of your thoughts, realize how powerful they are and how powerful you are. Because if your thoughts have that much power, how powerful does that make you? So stop feeling like you're a victim of your life. You're not. Part of you is co creating this with the universe. So if there are things happening you don't like, take some time to sit with yourself and ask yourself, what can I do to change what's happening? Can I do anything? How can I think about this in a different way? How do I come at this from a different perspective? And really, the universe wants to guide us so much. And we tend to think, I know it all. I don't, I don't need your help. And it just reminds me of a situation, excuse me, that's been happening with my son this week. He wants to get a different car. And of course, the car he wants like this sports car. And the mom point of view was, you don't need to get a really fast car because it's dangerous and your insurance is going to go up and all the things, right? Well, here he is with this bubble and this joy. And what do? I'm bursting it, right? That's exactly what I did. It was me in my brain thinking, okay, your mom's just trying to keep you safe and trying to do this. No, it was me falling back into my old patterns of I have to protect you and I have to burst your bubble so that I can make you understand the reality of life. The reality is it's his life, right? He's got to live it. I can do so much. I can't do any more than that. So instead of bursting his bubble, how about if I just help him out and sit with him and help him go over all the options and, just be there in his corner. And that's hard to do sometimes. But that's what we need to do in our own lives. We need to stop bursting our own bubble. We need to speak into existence and being what we want and how we want to see ourselves. That's so incredibly important. So the message today has just been stop breaking your own heart. Okay. Stop trying to be who you're not. Stop trying to live up to anyone else's expectations. Be comfortable in who you are and start speaking words that support that. I think the most interesting thing is we can be so cruel to ourselves. If you make a mistake, you think to yourself, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Why should have done something else? Stop beating yourself up. Stop breaking your own heart. Instead, what can you say to yourself? How can you see that situation differently so that you're learning from it and improving from it, but also building yourself up again? And I think that's what the universe wants you to know this week. And so, you know me, I love journaling. I think it's so incredible. But I know that a lot of people don't like to write, and that's okay. I get it. It's not your thing. It's my thing, obviously. I like to write. So, journaling is something that helps me. But you don't have to keep a manual journal where you're writing with pen and paper. You can keep an audio diary. A lot of people do that and speak into a recording or something. Just pick a voice memo on your phone and get your thoughts out. What am I learning? I think it's the processing that we do that sometimes bring us those aha moments, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is what I was doing and not realizing it. I was falling back into those old patterns and I need to stop doing that because it's doing things the same way I've always done them is going to give me the same results I've always gotten. And that's not what I want. I want something better. I want something different. So I need to start doing things differently and then trying to think about what can I do? How can I show up differently? How can I show up for myself? And I think that's the hardest thing because so many of us don't do that. We don't show up for ourselves, show up for everyone else, but we don't show up for ourselves. And so that's just something to think about this week. And I wanted to pull some cards to give you, some messages. And I thought I would start with an affirmation card because I love affirmations and I actually try to do them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every single day I do an affirmation because I don't always remember. Sometimes my life gets so busy and I've got so many things going on. I've got to record a podcast and I have to grade papers and I have to do this and I have to do that. And I don't get to it. And I need to be better about that. But I do affirmations at least several times a week, almost every day, if not every day. And I think it's so important. And so the affirmation that came out today is the power of words and thought. I am in control of my reality. Words and thoughts are powerful because they are the building blocks of our beliefs and attitudes. They have the ability to shape our perception of ourselves and the world around us. They influence our emotions and they even impact our physical health. The thoughts you choose to believe and the words you choose to say are forming your experiences and your reality. Listen to what you say. Part of that is so important that we don't do all the time is slow down and actually pay attention to what it is that we are saying. A lot of times you don't even realize how negative you are to yourself. Maybe I used to tell students of mine to do this. Just take one day and every thought that pops into your head that you notice, we have a gazillion thoughts a day, right? You can't write every single one of them down, but everyone that pops out to you that you notice, you're like, oh, that was a thought. Write it down. I want you to write it down and keep a journal, keep a thought journal. And at the end of the day, I want you to go back to that journal and I want you to look at what you were thinking all day and look at how much of that is negative. You'd probably be surprised because we don't think about it. We don't think about it, but it takes one little thing like, oh, I spilled my coffee. In fact, somebody I work with today said, oh, today's the Mondayest Monday ever. I had a flat tire, I had coffee. And, the more we build on that momentum, the more you notice that keeps happening. It's not a coincidence that you spilled your coffee, you had a flat tire, then this happened, then this happened. Doesn't it feel like that on days when you're like, oh, why is today a day? Because you're thinking about it and you keep talking about it. And then it just keeps showing up as more energy that matches the energy you're in. And it's easy to do that. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole. What you need to start learning how to do, which is not as easy, is to catch yourself. And when you find yourself going down that rabbit hole, stopping yourself and saying, okay, that happened. That was interesting. We're going to shift this now. Okay, now good things are going to start to happen. It really does shift things, but you have to keep at it. You've got to trust the process. And a lot of us quit before we get very far. Right? We don't trust the process. Which I understand. The last part of that is cultivate a daily habit of nurturing thoughts and speaking words that align with your desired outcomes. Exactly. What do you want? Well, I want good things to happen to me today. I want someone to pay me a compliment. I'd like to get a cup of coffee today. Whatever it is, start small. People do that. I want to find a porter today, something. And then when it happens, so grateful. Oh my gosh, you showed up for me in this way. No matter how small it might seem, nothing really ever is very small. It's all connected. So keep that going. So the first card, I pulled some cards from the spell casting deck, is fertility. So for some of you, yes, this could be a literal fertility. You might be hoping to have a baby. And for some of you, that might be coming. For others of you, this is about an idea, a spark, creating something new. So there's something new in your life that's about to begin, and it's going to be something that feels amazing. I just get the sense, and from what I'm seeing here, it's like a breath of fresh air. The new that's coming in is something that really makes you feel revitalized and energized and excited about life, which I feel like some of you maybe haven't for a while. So welcome that in. And the next card coming out is boundaries. So it may require you to hold your boundaries and to say, I'm not going to put up with this behavior. I'm getting a double message here. For some of you, it's other people, setting your boundaries with others. But I'm getting that this is going along with the message we have today. And this is you setting a boundary for yourself. I will not spend X amount of time talking negatively to myself. I will not spend X amount of time doing work when I'm at home and I want to relax. I'm going to set that boundary for myself. And that's going to bring about so much peace for you. And you deserve that. And you're worthy of that. And then we have finding. Again, I'm getting a double message here. For some of you, this is about finding something that you thought was lost to you, whether it's an opportunity. I don't know what, but something's coming in that you thought was just out of reach for you. Like you lost it, but it's coming back around. And for others of you, this is about finding your inner peace and finding yourself again. And I've had so many messages coming out the last few weeks about people finding themselves. And I don't know. I mean, we are going through a huge awakening right now. And I feel like for some of you, that awakening involves discovering who you truly are and not allowing yourself to lose you again. And the only thing I can compare this to is when I was going through my divorce, I remember I lost myself for a while. I just became so-and-so's wife, the so-and-so's mom. I didn't know who I was. I was so far disconnected from feeling because I was so miserable that I didn't want to feel anything. And I didn't know who I was. I had to find myself all over again. And for some of you, I feel like this is you and you're working on that. And we have grieving. So for some of you, you have been grieving. Maybe it is the loss of you. Maybe it is the loss of what you once were. This grief journey and grief process is not easy. It's never easy. But you're going through this. It's almost like a metamorphosis. Like you have gone through this process, you're grieving, but you're going to come out of it on the other side a completely new and a better person. But right now you're just stuck in that stage of the where you're in the cocoon and it feels dark and it feels very tight and I don't know, lonely and empty, but you're coming out of that. And so have compassion for yourself because this won't last forever. Showing yourself compassion through this time is so important because you are breaking through and you're going to be amazing, but you have to give yourself some grace. And if you're struggling with the grief right now, I mean, I have my book, shameless plug alert, but I have my book, Beautiful Mourning, A Guide to Life After Loss. And it's available on Amazon. It's available on audiobooks.com. It's available at Barnes and Noble. But I talk about the grieving process. It's not just about a physical loss. It can be. But for some of you, I feel like this is a loss of yourself. And in the grieving process, I give you tools that you can use to work through each stage of that grieving process and how to work through to get to the other side with more grace and ease and even a little maybe faster than you would have. But there's no timetable for grief. And we have animals coming out too. So for a few of you, maybe you have lost an animal recently and this is why you're grieving. And understandable. They're like our family. Some of you have spirit animals, spirit guides who are coming through wanting to guide you. And I'm seeing the dove here, the dove of peace. They want you to have peace and to make peace with what happened, with their passing, and also to have more peace in your life. If you're seeing a certain animal show up all the time, I've talked about this before, but they do bring messages. Like a spirit animal can be a message. I had, when I was writing my books, so many doubts, and I kept seeing a spider, spider, spider. I was seeing them all over my house, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm call the bug guy to come out here because I don't like spiders. I don't want a spider. I got bit by a spider before, and it was horrible. I had to be on antibiotics. But I looked up, what does the spider symbolize? And it says writing, creative writing, write that book. I thought, okay, it's a message. And literally, as soon as I realized that, I stopped seeing them everywhere. And you want to think that's a coincidence or whatever, but I truly believe in that. You have two cards coming out here with doves, and you have commitment. Some of you might be moving into a higher commitment with yourself, with a partner. This particular card, when it comes out like this, is showing a soulmate. So it's moving into a higher commitment. But I do feel like for some of you, it's being committed to yourself and committed to being there for yourself, for showing up for yourself. Okay, and this is coming in. It's a higher level relationship, whether it's with yourself or someone else, it's coming in. And it's going to, again, be such a great thing. So I pulled 3 cards from Angela Rose's deck. And the first one that came out is Mother Earth. We all want to feel nurtured and wise, like a loving mother nurturing her child, providing guidance and a gentle, loving touch. You don't need an outside source to feel this way. You were divinely made with this Mother Earth bond, wisdom, and imprint within you. And this is so important because there's so many of us who, you know how many times I wish I could just go to my mom and get a hug or ask her for advice. And she's probably out there somewhere going, I'm right here. Um, but when they're not physically there, you feel that. You feel that absence. Or maybe you never had that. And this card is telling you, you've had it all along. Okay. The divine mother energy is within all of us. For some of you, I'm getting maybe you need to do a healing. But womb healing, those are so interesting. I've done those before. And a lot of people who have issues with their moms, when they do those womb healings, those help a lot. I have one on my YouTube channel, but you can also, so you can go to my YouTube channel, search for womb healing. It's a guided meditation for that. But I also have, I've heard of other people on YouTube who have them. So whatever, I always say, find what works for you. And you have an action to take with this. It says, come back to you. Take a walk in nature. Be present and know you are fully supported. If appropriate, take off your shoes and ground yourself. Just sticking your feet in the grass is so healing. The mantra that goes with this card is I have everything I need within me now. I am fully supported, loved, and wise. And again, say that to yourself. If you're not feeling supported, and lean into that divine mother energy. Again, there are people out there who have these YouTube videos where you can do guided meditations where you can connect to that energy, but do what you need to do because you have time to take action. What step can you take today to feel closer to your goal or dream? Today, cross one item off your to-do list. Build momentum by taking baby steps, crossing one thing off at a time. Do you know how much energy you feel and how accomplished you feel when you just cross something off a list? Last weekend or the weekend before, I cleaned out my closet and I just started slowly and I ended up with like one bag of clothes and I felt so accomplished. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going. I ended up with 3 bags of clothes at the end and I took them to the local clothing drop off and turned them in, but I felt better about myself for having done it. And I felt accomplished, and decluttering made me feel a lot better. So, what's one thing you can do today to check off your list? The action is I will commit to doing blank today. Fill in that blank. What will you commit to doing today? And then either physically write it down and cross it off or visualize yourself crossing that off the list. The mantra is when I show up consistently, I build confidence within myself. It's so true. And the last card we have coming out today is Miracle Mindset. And it is no surprise that this came out. Have immeasurable faith and full dedication towards your dreams. Our thoughts create our feelings. Our feelings create our actions. Our actions create our reality. What thoughts would your highest self be thinking? What would your highest self be feeling or doing to live your best life? What is your dream? What do you get lost in time doing? Meditate on this feeling and lean into your dreams. You need to spend more time doing things that make you feel good, that bring you fulfillment. Too many times we check out and we do things that don't really bring us fulfillment. And again, guilty. Scrolling on TikTok, I'm guilty. Guilty of watching, binging TV sometimes, guilty when I should be doing things that are creative, like learning how to knit, cooking, all of those things that I love to do and I need to spend more time doing. The mantra that goes with this card is I have faith and trust that my dreams are unfolding perfectly for me. And they are. And I think if that is one thing we can take with us today, let us repeat that mantra. So wherever you are right now, if you can close your eyes safely, please do. If you're driving, do not close your eyes because you will not have a good outcome with that. Don't close your eyes if you can't, but you can always come back to this again later. But close your eyes. I want you to place your hand over your heart. Take a deep breath in and just exhale. Really feel into your body, what you're feeling right now, and repeat that. I have faith and trust that my dreams are unfolding perfectly for me. Take another deep breath. And say it again. I have faith and trust that my dreams are unfolding perfectly for me. Because they are. So it is. All of your dreams are unfolding perfectly for you. Start being intentional about your thoughts and your actions, being present and not checking out. You deserve it. Wonderful things are going to come in for you. And if you're feeling stuck, and we all feel stuck sometimes, if you want to work with a mentor, I work with people. I do coaching sessions. I do readings, hour readings. I do healing sessions. I do Reiki, past life regression. If you want to book a session with me, or if you want to work with me and you're not sure what you need, you can reach out to me. You can email me. I will email you right back. I love talking to my listeners, and if I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have online courses available. I have books that you could purchase, anyway, and I have a lot of free stuff too. You can sign up for my newsletter, which I very rarely send out a newsletter. Just every once in a while when something big is going to happen. But if you do that, you will receive a free morning and evening meditation. And so I would love to have you join me. I want to thank you for listening and for supporting me, and to all of my listeners. Thank you to those of you, you know, Maria, Amina, Ginger, Shauna, Christy, all of you who were in my group. And I know there's probably some of you that my aged brain is not able to think of at the moment, but you all know who you are, and you've all supported me and Angie, and all of you. I thank you for showing up and for being here, and for listening. And if you like this podcast, please share it with others. Please subscribe. Please leave a positive review. Um, keep following. Keep your head up. Things are going to get better, and you're going to be speaking into existence the most beautiful life. It is going to happen. I believe that for you. And I hope that you have an amazing week. I am sending you guys so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.